Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Bad Lit Friends, the writing podcast that still barely knows what it's doing. I'm your host, Kirk Rafferty, and this is my co-host.
Hi, I'm Meagan Thompson-Mann. And this week, we are talking about the people that you love to hate. Villains. God, what's a book without a villain? Maybe it's Dick and Jane. I mean, God, that's even older than I am. But was there a villain in Dick and Jane? I'm
No,
too young to know that answer to that one.
well, whoever it was that sent them up the hill, I think is the villain.
Okay.
Knowing it was an unsafe place for them to be because they fell down.
That's Jack and Jill. We are both too old and too young.
Yeah, I don't even know what Dick and Jane was about.
Pray for us, listeners. There is no hope.
It could have been worse. I could have confused it with, I don't know, Of Mice and Men.
Easily done.
Yes.
So we've both had busy weeks.
My week was incredibly busy, and then you told me about your week before the show, and I just wanted to go to bed. Because
Yeah.
your week was the week from
Yeah,
it was bad.
let's do my non-fun week, which is the writing update. Well, I wrote a lot, but almost none of it was my book. It was I mentioned on the last episode that I was writing a deposition outline. I spent 6.5 hours on Saturday writing that deposition outline, and then I worked another 3.5 hours on the Sunday. Then I was in a deposition for 7.5 hours on the Monday. I had 2 more depositions that week, prepared for a trial. And yeah, I worked 12 days in a row, and I managed to write 350 words, which I cannot vouch for their quality because I think I was in a fugue state when I wrote them on Sunday evening.
Still, that's impressive. After all of that, you still managed to get some writing in. Because guess how many words I got?
Tell me.
0.
Good for you.
I got 0 words in.
Fight the power.
Again, my excuse being that, I'm just getting this book in shape to be indie published. So I didn't do quite as much editing this week as I've been doing the previous weeks, but I've actually been cutting words. And so I'm not going to count negative words. And so I got 0
I
words
know
in.
how much you love to cut words. So this
I
must
do.
be a joyful moment for you.
It does feel kind of nice. And I think I mentioned last time too, I feel like I'm a better writer now than when I wrote that book. So I finished that book, I want to say 3 years ago. Because I queried for 2 years. It's been about a year. Yeah, so I finished that book probably a little over 3 years ago. So I'm looking at this now, 3 years on. I'm actually enjoying going through and not just cutting words, but editing, changing a few things around. Nothing big. I still think it's a pretty good book, even if I wasn't doing anything. But yeah, so that's me.
You also did some other writerly things in the past week.
I did. I was at the Pikes Peak Writers Conference in Pikes Peak, Colorado Springs, Colorado. And that was a really great time. I had such a good time there. I met so many great people. I met a few people that I had only met online before, and they were actually there. So it was a really good time. Lots of great sessions. If you are ever thinking about going to a writers' conference in Colorado, Pikes Peak is one of the better ones. And so highly recommend it. It's worth your time. It's worth your money. It's not even that expensive of a conference. And yeah, I can't speak highly enough about it. BarCon was absolutely fantastic. I made an amazing contact that I feel like I'm going to be talking about a little bit later. I'm not going to talk about them now, but no, it's not an agent, but it was an incredible contact and fingers crossed. So that's all I'm going to say about that right now. Anyway, can't speak highly enough about Pikes Peak. Great conference. In October, you and I will be at the other major Denver Metropolitan Conference, the Rocky Mountain Fiction Writers Conference. Anybody listening, you have plenty of time. It's April 24th that we're recording this. You have plenty of time to make your reservations to come out and meet us at the the Rocky Mountain Fiction Writers Conference. It's like the first weekend in October.
Yeah, and also in attendance will be Rylan, our former co-host.
My daughter Rylan, big friend of the show.
Big friend of the show, former producer, former co-host, and also Ann Wells, who has appeared on the podcast, big friend of the show. And, hopefully she's gonna
Yeah.
be on
I'm
again
so
soon.
excited. Yeah, I'm so excited to
So,
meet Anne, yeah.
yeah, so the gang's all here. The
Mhm.
BLF contingent will be strong. I promise if I get a little drunk, will I will try not to feel you up. I really promise about that. It could happen.
That's good to know. That's good to know. And, if you do decide to come, we tend to spill a little bit at these bar cons too, so you'll get a little bit of inside tea
Again,
as well.
BLF after dark could very well be a
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Um,
It very well could be.
it's, uh, it's just how many paywalls that we need to erect.
All the paywalls.
Every single one. So, I wanted to talk about villains this week simply because, well, it's an interesting time in the world right now with all sorts of villains, big and small.
Mhm, mhm.
And for me, villains are kind of like almost like a pressure valve. Like it's a way to think in an abstract way about evil or, obstruction or difficulties and kind of fantasize about it, like how you might deal with it. Also, just how thinking kind of like about how attractive in big square quotes attractive, doing bad things can feel and sometimes
Yeah,
how
yeah.
tempting the dark side is, even without cookies. So, it has been on my mind a lot, so I wanted to talk about it, and I kinda ambushed Kirk with this one, so we're gonna have some fun.
Yeah.
So, I think the first thing that we need to talk about is that villains are not the same as antagonists. They can be the same person in a book, they can have the same function, but they don't necessarily have to be the same thing. An antagonist, the way I look at an antagonist is an obstacle for a
Mhm.
main character or nearly main character to overcome in order to get to what they want at the end of the book, right? So
Yeah.
it can be somebody who is just in the way. It could be a well-meaning parent.
Well, and the famous example, there's who was it that said there's 3 kinds of stories? There's man versus nature, and man versus himself,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Themselves, excuse me. And so yes, an antagonist could be you're stuck in the wilderness and there's a bear that's been following you the whole time, right?
Mhm.
So that's an entire book. The bear, and there's an epic conclusion. Well, the bear isn't a villain.
No.
The bear is a bear, right? But the bear is the antagonist. So yes, you're absolutely making a fantastic point. The villain or a villain and an antagonist don't necessarily have to be the same
Yeah,
thing.
and as you said, it could be
Yep.
yourself, or it could be the main
Yes.
character's self. Their neuroses, anxieties could be getting in the way.
Characters who are their own worst enemies are my favorite characters.
Well, that's why you like me so much.
It is absolutely, yes.
So, but a villain more or less is in the simplest form, like the bad guy, right? The
Mhm,
malevolent force. So you can have a villain who isn't an antagonist as much as you can have an antagonist who isn't a villain.
mhm.
You could have a villain who's just, a bad guy who could seem like they're giving the main character support and what they need, but they're still like operating as a villain within, like, say, society, but they're not necessarily getting in the way of the main character, doing what they have to do. And sometimes, antagonists, going back to antagonists, sometimes antagonists are just like bad circumstances, right? Like maybe it's a
Mhm.
hurricane, right? But also a hurricane could be a villain. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and I can give you another example too, like in Office Space, we so immediately we think, okay, Lumbergh, the boss, is the villain. Lumbergh is the antagonist, I think.
yes.
The villain, let's say it all together now, is capitalism.
Capitalism. The Bobs are but, a small embodiment of it, but ultimately,
Yes.
yes, it's it's always capitalism.
It's
It's
always
always
capitalism, isn't
capitalism.
it?
Whenever you pull that mask off, it's always
Yes.
capitalism underneath. So so here's my question for you. Your books have baddies. My books
Mhm,
have baddies.
mhm,
Let's think about as we go along. Let's think about our own baddies and where they kind of fall as we talk about these things. If
mhm.
they are merely antagonists, if they are villains, or if they are both.
Mhm.
or if they are the two of them, but at different times. So I will introduce my villain if you want to introduce one of you show me yours if because I'm going to show you mine.
Okay,
Okay.
sure.
So
G
yeah.
Go
Okay.
ahead.
So I have a villain who, for the most part, in the current book I'm writing in book two, is not actually an antagonist.
Okay.
But in book one, it's the same one. He is an antagonist and also a villain. Yeah. So in book two, he is a charismatic, newly appointed college professor who is giving the main character exactly what she wants. That is not a good thing
Mm.
because the main character is avaricious and will do anything to get out of the what she considers to be very humble circumstances of birth.
Mhm.
She is a social climber, but she hides it under layers of kind of performed authenticity. And
Mhm.
like, I am but a simple, Iowa farm girl. I am, a babe in the wood, a naif. And there is someone who is willing to take advantage of this naive, who is not complete naive, but enough of one because she is so young, she is 21, to believe
Mhm.
that she understands how she can direct her life and that she can come out on top. The villain exploits it, but he
Yeah,
does not get in her
as
way,
villains do.
does not get in her way, only helps her at every
Mhm.
stage, gives her a leg up, and pushes her along the primrose path to perdition. In book one, he is there 12 years along the line, I believe it is, or even more, I think. And he is now an established college professor and also the former romantic partner of the main character who
Mhm.
made her life hell when she was in college. And his lingering influence has prevented her entire life from actually achieving the kind of intimacy in romantic relationships that she's always craved. So
Mhm.
he is both in book one. I'm kind of obsessed with him. I will be talking about him more, but the people who have read him are kind of obsessed with him too. Yeah.
Excellent,
So
excellent.
tell me about your
That's the
villains.
way to write one. So, in my first book, so your books are very
Yes.
connected. My books are extremely loosely connected. My books are only connected by one character, and that character in the first book is a very minor character who becomes the main character in the second book. So
Same with
I
me.
don't have.
That's the same with me.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Oh, okay. So in my first book, and so again, I write thriller, historical thriller. In thriller, your villain and your antagonist tend to be usually the same, and it's no different with mine. So I basically have this rogue FBI agent who is very intent on, catching the protagonist for America, right? That's his justification, but really it is more of an obsession, and some other things kinda going on in his mind. I will say, though, that my protagonist, talking about your own worst enemy, right? My protagonist is her own worst enemy because she starts out as a very, again, historical fiction. My main character is actually a Soviet cosmonaut. She begins the book as a very loyal Soviet citizen who kind of progresses through a journey, much of it of her own making. So if she'd have made good decisions, I wouldn't have had much of a book. In that case, my villain and my antagonist are the same thing. In my second book, sort of the same thing, except that my antagonist tends is actually like the entire Soviet state. No, I'm sorry. My villain is the entire Soviet state. My antagonist is an officer within the Soviet Union. So they're split apart sort of that way. Although I do have multiple villains. Yeah, let's go with villains. I have multiple villains, so I actually have a character that is a villain as well.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's how mine work.
So let me put this to you.
Mhm.
What do you think makes a villain delicious as opposed to just hateable or unpleasant?
I think that if you want a I'm not sure what delicious
Okay, well,
means.
why don't I explain? Why don't I tell you what I think delicious means here? So, the delicious to me means you can't get enough of it. You want to read more about the villain, almost at the edge
Mhm,
where it's
mhm.
like, I almost want to
Okay.
hear the villain story more, but not quite, but getting close.
So here's how you do that. Make a villain who has a coherent worldview. In other words, if your bad guy, if your villain is evil for evil's sake, like you've just created a cardboard cutout, right? You need to, and I've said this before too. The villain needs to be the hero in their own story. So if you were in the villain's skin, you believe you are right.
Mhm,
You believe you're the hero, and that really is the crux of it. Uh, you want to, so Blake Edwards talks about a save the cat moment, right? That's where save the cat
mhm,
comes from. If you show your villain saving a cat, it shows that they're a little more human, right? So to expand on that a little bit, you want to make the villain right about something. Something about their worldview you agree with.
mhm.
It doesn't have to be a big thing. It can be a small thing. You can have a villain that brushes their teeth regularly and flosses regularly, right?
But
I
so what you're
guess.
getting at is again, just like we talk about capitalism all the time on there, empathy is the other thing we talk about all the time on this show.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah.
You don't, I mean, you don't have to be on the villain's side to have a little bit of empathy for them. Maybe they love their mother. They will do anything to protect their mother. That's admirable, right? And you can admire that. But and still hate them because they are the
I
villain,
mean,
right?
you
So,
make me think immediately of Psycho. That was a boy who loved his mother.
yes, yes, yes.
Maybe a little bit too much, but, it's yeah,
Yeah.
it's you have to make them likable
Mhm.
in a little way, in a way maybe that you feel makes you feel uncomfortable about liking them, but there
Yeah.
needs to be something that makes the reader, connect with them.
And I tell you, here's a little secret to my villains anyway, that I feel like has taken those things that we just talked about. Now you're creating a 3D villain, right? Here's the little piece de resistance is you make them a mirror of the
Mhm,
protagonist. So they have not the same, but similar, like internal trauma
mhm.
or something. You give them this
Yeah,
juxtaposition
yeah,
against the protagonist. And I love making villains that kinda have the same damage as the hero.
yeah.
Same but different, right? Like, obviously, you don't wanna make them complete carbon
No,
copies of each
no.
other, but just
It's the
yeah,
through a glass darkly kind of thing, right?
right,
So,
right.
it's the if something had been different for either your protagonist or your villain, they could have been the same people or very nearly the same, but
Mhm, mhm.
they've kind of moved. And I'll tell you something about my protagonist of book 2. People have told me about and she's an incredibly small character in book 1. People have told me that they disliked her in book 1, which was the
Mhm.
original reason why I wanted to write about her because originally when I wrote her, I'm like, she was kind of like a nothing. But then the feedback was like, God, she's awful. I'm like, but she's supposed to be nice. Nice. She's supposed to be really nice. And I thought,
Huh?
okay, why is she awful? But then I thought, okay, how can I make her the protagonist? But she's also awful in book 2, I have to say, but like less clearly so. But it's the same thing. It's the mirroring thing. The villain mirrors her. It's just her worst attributes amplified, but with a
Mhm,
higher sheen on them. Somebody who is
mhm.
also greedy, somebody who is also willing to take advantage of people, someone who is also willing to obstruct and to lie and to cheat and to steal, but somebody who has the advantages of birth and wealth and advantage.
Yeah, yeah.
So it is it in book 2, it is the person who is the most glossy, who is the villain, again, capitalism, and the person who is the rougher, who is the nominal hero. She is not a hero. I will say that. She is not a hero.
Yeah, and the same things apply to your hero as well. Like
Mm.
but again, backwards. So you wanna give your hero a flaw.
Mhm.
Maybe your hero is a shoplifter,
Terrible
right?
dental hygiene.
Yes, terrible dental hygiene. Yeah, why not? So speaking of characters, born into so my main character in my first book actually the reason that she got to be a cosmonaut is because her father was connected, right? And so she didn't earn her spot and she's a little bit, snooty. So not to the point where you dislike her, but you know, those little kinds of flaws work the same way as in your villain,
Mhm.
those little kinds of anti-flaws. I'm gonna call them anti-flaws.
Good. We can coin words on this podcast.
Sure,
We
sure.
can be groundbreaking. My God, of course
Yeah.
we can. Yeah, I was thinking when I was kind of working on the outline for this about, we always refer to Snidely Whiplash and we're like, oh, my villain isn't Snidely Whiplash, i.e.,
Mhm,
he's just
mhm,
evil for the sake of evil. But I actually went back. So Snidely Whiplash is from Dudley Do-Right, the old cartoons.
mhm.
And I was reading a little bit about Snidely Whiplash. I do research for these people. And Snidely Whiplash was created as a critique of one-dimensional villains.
Yeah,
The
fantastic.
whole
Yeah, I can
point
see that.
of him being evil for the sake of evil is to send up other books and films that had these one-dimensional villains that people couldn't connect
Yeah.
to. They're like, "Well, what if we just lean into it real hard?" And it's
Mhm.
satire. It's satire of not being able to actually come up with a fully formed like, "Here, if that's what you want, have the ultimate one." Um,
Do you remember that Robin Hood movie, the Kevin
yes.
Costner Robin Hood movie from the
Yeah,
early
of course I
'90s?
do.
So Alan Rickman plays the sheriff of Nottingham.
This was a growth moment for me. Good God. Whew! Yes, okay. Yes.
So the movie itself is just
It's
ungodly
it
terrible.
really is. That's okay.
But what's the best part of that
It's
movie?
it's
Alan
it is. It
Rickman.
is definitely not, Everything I Do It For You,
Oh my
because
god.
that song was at the top of the
Love you, Bryan Adams, but Jesus
no,
Christ. So,
no, he
the
was the best part.
if as written, that character is just and I'm talking about the Sheriff of
Yes.
Nottingham, that character is so boring because he is purely evil. There is nothing about him. But the way that Alan Rickman decided to play him makes him, the "I'll cut your heart out with a spoon" was an ad lib line, right?
Mhm.
So Alan Rickman brings this one-dimensional character, this two-dimensional character to life simply by giving him this ridiculousness about him, right? So you take this very flat character and you just add an element to it. It was brilliant. He's an amazing character. I wish the rest of that movie had been half as amazing because
There is
his talent was wasted.
but one panty dropper in that movie, and it is not Kevin Costner.
Yeah.
So, sorry. I went to go see it when it came out. I think I may have still been in high school just about then, and unless I'm hallucinating, and I saw it and was like, "Okay, number 1, this movie sucks. Why the fuck am I watching a movie with Kevin Costner? Ew." And, uh,
Well, because he was the flavor of the
he
week then.
was,
Like
and I was just
every
like,
freaking movie had Kevin Costner in
yeah,
it.
I
Yeah.
will say it must have been, like, senior year when it came out. We went to go see as a class, as an English class, we went to go see around the same time Mel Gibson's Hamlet. So I think we'd gone to see it, like, in the fall, and then I went to go see, Robin Hood in, like, the spring term. Anyway,
Yeah. Let me tell you, those were the least of that movie's problems.
and Mel Gibson, and everyone's just like, "We didn't even know how to touch it, it was also wrong."
And bear in mind too, this is pre-anti-Semitic Mel Gibson, or at least that we knew of, right? So at the time, we still thought he was a normal
We
person, and it was a terrible
all we could
movie.
think of was like, "Oh, like Lethal Weapon, that's fun." The reason
Yeah,
why it's fun, Danny Glover. So,
yeah,
let's be real.
yeah.
And, yes, this is before the fall from grace. If you're a normal person, you see it that way. If you don't, might see it as a blossoming. But
In which case, you are the
You are
villain.
the villain, and you should
Yeah.
spend some time thinking about your life choices. But, you kn Snidely Whiplash, he has another kind of incarnation a little bit further on down the line in terms of cartoons. Dick Dastardly in Wacky Races.
My god, I do not know what either
You
one
don't
of those
remember
are.
Hanna-Barbera's Wacky Races?
I mean, I remember a lot of Hanna-Barbera stuff.
Oh,
I
wow.
don't specifically remember Wacky
Oh my
Races.
god.
Interesting.
Stop the Pigeon?
Yeah.
You don't remember
What?
Stop the
No.
Pigeon? Wow. Okay,
No.
you are
No.
old. Oh god, it's so rare that I can
I must have been reading Hamlet during that
Oh.
time.
Now
Yeah.
I was omnivorous and both reading Hamlet and watching Wacky Races.
Okay, you are yeah,
I've got my little
you're much more well-read than I am.
Wacky Races was not did not have anything to do with that. But, um, we can cut all of this. We can cut all of the Dick Dastardly, and I still can't believe
Okay.
you don't know Stop the Pigeon. Shame will have a word with you. Anyway,
No.
we can
Wow.
cut all of this. But you make a very good point in that Alan Rickman's sheriff was interesting because he is not one note. He's a
Right,
whole
right.
fucking symphony.
And again, he was written terribly.
Mhm.
He was written so one-dimensionally, and then Alan Rickman was like, "Okay, I'm just gonna do this character as ridiculous as possible, and because I'm Alan Rickman, you're just gonna let me do it." And he basically saved that movie.
Mhm. Yeah, and it's clear to me he's the villain, and we understand what his
Mhm,
motivation is.
mhm.
It is very clear to us, and you have to be clear about a villain's motivation. Like, Thanos, we know what he's doing. He's convinced he's right,
Yeah.
right? Alan
Again, he's the hero in his own story.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep, and Alan Rickman is convinced he's right, even though the way it's written, the Sheriff of Nottingham doesn't
Mhm,
need to be
mhm.
convinced of anything except for, "I am bad, and look at me, I am bad and making things real hard for, Robin of Locksley." But in reality,
You know way too much about that movie.
sorry, you know why I know so much about Robin Hood? It's because of the far superior Robin Hood, the Disney
Men in
no,
Tights.
no, the Disney one. The
Okay.
Disney one, you wanna
Right,
talk
right.
about sexual
Yeah,
awakenings for Gen X women? It is the Fox Robin Hood.
yeah.
Damn, it still does it for me. I'm so sorry.
I did have a thing for
It's
Marion. What
very
is she, like a
normal.
badger or
No, she's
something?
also
Yeah.
she's a vixen.
She's also a fox,
She
isn't
is
she?
a
Yeah. I mean,
vixen.
and she is a fox. Yeah.
Damn, girl.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
why I know. Also, a little tidbit is that one of the opening songs in not the opening song, but one of the opening songs in Robin Hood is the theme, an adapted version of it is the theme to the hamster song, of course. One of the first internet memes, if you recall the hamster
I
song.
think I remember hearing that sometime. Yeah,
Yes, I
that's
will
right,
link it in
that's
the
right.
show notes.
But it was a rooster singing it in Robin Hood, right?
It was a rooster, it was Alan Adale was a rooster, and he did the Robin Hood and Little John walking through the forest.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Oodle-lada,
that's it, that's it.
oodle-lada yeah, that was yeah, but the
Wow.
deep-a-dee-bop-bee-dee-bo-do I can't remember who did that in Robin Hood, but that's a hamster song.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That wasn't the roosters
I
doing
can't
that one,
remember
was
who
it?
did that one.
Huh.
We'll link it
Oh
in the
my
show
god.
notes.
Yeah. Yeah, now I gotta find a bootleg copy of Robin Hood. Okay.
I could share my Disney Plus account with you. So
Okay.
Disney, you didn't hear that, but I really no, Disney, please don't sue me. I don't have a lot of money. So one of the other things I was thinking about, in terms of getting into a villain's head, right? We're talking about motivation,
Mhm, mhm.
is that you need to distinguish writing of this is, I think, kind of topical right now, and we've kind of talked a little bit around this sometimes, is that there is a real difference between writing a villain that you understand their motivation and writing a villain that you actually agree with, right? There's
Mhm,
been
mhm.
we've been talking a lot, not necessarily on this show, but in kind of bookish spaces about readers who collapse the motivations of a villain and what a villain actually does in a book with their author's, like, worldview.
Mhm.
It is they confuse the villain and the author. Authors can and should write about difficult, weird, gross, disgusting things. This is important, I think.
That's all I write.
Good.
Yeah.
good. I write creepy, weird stuff. It's just, kind of, in a more lit fic space.
Yeah.
But it's like writing does not equal endorsement, right? It is much like a like doesn't equal an endorsement.
Man, and okay, so and I know that anything can go back to social media, like
Mhm.
anything that we talk about can
Mhm.
bring us back to social media, but one of the things that drives me batshit is seeing on social media somebody lambasting an author because one of their characters has a very, controversial or problematic
Mhm.
view of the world or whatever, right? And granted, sometimes it really is an author just being very, very weird about things, especially men writing women, right? A lot of times it is just authors being very weird.
Yeah, sometimes it's a
But
craft
many
problem.
times too, it's like for example, my villains, my God, I would be horrified to meet these people in real life. I I would be horrified to be exposed to their view of the world, right? But and yet their view of the world, like, is coming from my brain. But no, I'm not endorsing it, right?
No.
So anyway, that is a complete segue. Social
No,
media
no,
sucks.
social
Let
media
us
does
continue.
suck. It
Yeah.
is I see this author, let's call her Jane. Jane wrote about this boyfriend who was abusive to the main character, therefore
Mhm.
she endorses domestic violence. No.
Right.
No, I was
Right.
I was talking to Regina, who was on last week, about this, and she said, "Have these people read Lolita?" Well, I when I read Lolita, I think I was about maybe 15 or 16, and I understood before I started reading it what it was about. But at the same time, because Nabokov is so fucking brilliant, I was, seduced by Humbert because he's so fucking great. He is the ultimate villain, but he's so
Mhm. Mhm.
brilliant. He's so funny. He's written so well that you could get confused. And especially, as we were talking last week in Hot Goss about the collapse between the first person narrative and the self-insert reader, it becomes a collapse between the first person narrative and the author. Um, it the author, if we think of the author as, like a priest, the priest is the one in a very kind of traditional, like, Roman Catholic thing, is the interpreter of the word of God to the congregation, right? So, what is the author? The author is the interpreter of the story for the congregation of readers. It doesn't mean that the priest is God. The author is the intermediary between between the story
Mhm.
and the reader.
Mhm.
And readers, some readers, not all of them by any stretch of the imagination, and I think some readers learn this over time, but these readers I'm talking about in particular haven't quite gotten there yet. I feel like I'm coming up with this kind of, like, grand unifying theory of, like, what the fuck is wrong with readers, and eventually, like, one day
You're so
I'm
close, Megan. You're so
so
close.
close. I'm so close. I don't think we're gonna record that episode, or I'm gonna record it on my own when I've had, like, 2 vodka tonics, put it up, and just nuke
Uh-huh.
my entire career. So
Come to Rocky Mountain Fiction Writers Conference, Colorado Gold in October. Buy us drinks,
yes,
and the more drinks you buy us, the
that's
closer
right.
to the grand unifying
That's
theory
right.
we will
That's right.
get.
BLF After Dark will have T-shirts on that say BLF After Dark.
Yeah.
You'll also get to hear, as a bonus, my grand unifying theory of why Henry VIII is the problem with America. So that would take 3 vodka tonics, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
It sounds like riveting conversation. It really does.
it is. I've said it when I was sober, and it was interesting. So, pat on the back. But so, how do you think you write, or an author could write a compelling and coherent villain without it reading as a personal manifesto, like, fucking Unabomber shit? Like, how do you do that? What kind of level of remove do you have to do that? Does it even take very much? I don't think it necessarily has to take
No,
very
I don't
much.
think it yeah, I don't in fact, I think the more removed you are from your villain, the more likely you are to write a bad
Mhm.
villain, and I don't mean bad villain in a good
No.
way, I mean a bad villain.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, because again, the more human that your villain is, the more your reader can kind of associate with
Mhm.
them. Not that you want them to associate with, like, the bad parts of your villain, but you just want them to feel that your villain is
Yeah.
real,
I was going
and
to use the
that's
word
really the goal.
recognizable, and
Yes.
for my villain, I have stolen bits of different people and stuck them all together.
Mhm,
Various Some of these people are worse than others. Some of these people are not bad people at all, but had things that I
mhm.
didn't like about them or things that they didn't like about themselves, and took them and stuck them together. And I have often thought that if I met my villain in real life, he and I would get on like a house on fire. We would have so much to talk about. But I would never want to walk down a dark street with him at all.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely not.
You and I have a person that we talk about quite a bit that, I'm not a real big fan of, you're not a real big fan of. We've both met this person in real life.
Mhm,
Very nice person, right? Just a very I don't know, just openly, like, a nice person
mhm,
right then and there. Still don't want anything to do with them.
absolutely.
So yeah, and this is kind of the makings of a great villain,
Yeah, oh
right?
god! Do I have to write about this person now, Kirk? Shit.
I think maybe one of us does.
Oh my god. Oh my the little squirrels in my brain
Are
are
are they
like, they're all
doing
moving
good?
around now, like, "Oh, I can totally
I
do this."
will read this book. I will read
I
this
think
book.
book 3. I think I've got a place for this person in book 3, heavily disguised, of course,
Yeah.
but here's a question for you. So it's important to understand the motivations and of our villains and to make them feel real, but we also need to understand how they got to be the way that they are. So, about backstory. So
Yes.
I
Yes.
have a full Bible for my villain, as much as I have a full Bible for my main characters.
Mhm.
And I'm constantly adding to the villain one, mostly because I really do understand my main character extremely well. For the villain, I'm adding stuff all the time, but very little of this makes it onto the page at all. I can tell you where he went to high school. I can tell you about his relations with his cousin Kurt, not Kirk, Kurt.
Mhm. Mhm.
I can tell you about his grad school girlfriend
Mhm.
and his daughters who are yet to be born in either of these books. All of these things. None of this is on the page, nor will it ever be, because you don't
Yeah.
need to have it all. You just gotta feel it when you write it.
And I would say that I noticed that a lot of villains that I read about have trauma as kind of a main backstory. And there's a reason for it because trauma is really powerful, right?
Mhm.
So a lot of protagonists have trauma as a backstory. And so it kind of follows, hey, how do I humanize my villain? They had a very terrible childhood or whatever. And so I would say that the key there is going back to, like, your Bible of kind of all kinds of stuff that will never make it to the page. There should be all kinds of stuff that will never make it to the page or even that does make it to the page because you don't want one thing to define your villain. That was a really long way to get
That's
there,
okay.
but you don't want one thing like trauma to define your villain. You want them, again, more rounded out. So I'll take, like the villain in my first book. So he has PTSD. He fought in World War II. This is a thing he carries with him. It is not a thing that defines him because there are other things that define him, such as he loves his wife because his wife is the only person that can kind of soothe the demons that run through his mind. And there are many things that go into this villain, this protagonist or antagonist that round them out. And again, like you, I have many things that either didn't make it to the page or that I had to cut.
Mhm.
But if you're doing your job right, you can sort of feel the depth without knowing what's in those murky
Yeah.
waters. You can sort of feel that depth anyway if you do this character.
Yeah, I think, honestly, in some ways, I think more about my villain than my protagonist
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
she's very clear to me. She's not a lot like me, but I have known people like her, so it's kind of it's a little bit easier for me. Certainly in book 1, my protagonist is a lot more like me, so I it's kinda like whatever. But I think I'm still trying to, like, process shit from various people, who made their way into my villain, so it's
Mhm.
opaque
Mhm.
to me. I'm trying to make it's like I'm trying by writing him, I'm trying to make sense of these things about these other people. So, the
Mhm,
more
mhm.
backstory that I write, it's like more attempts to, like, square a circle that will never be squared,
Yes.
which is why it feels compulsive to write about him. Luckily, other people also feel compulsive about reading him, which is good. But, it's for him, the backstory is fairly simple. Somebody who feels deeply entitled to everything. Someone
And
who
I
is never
wonder
told no.
Yeah, yeah. And I wonder if so you make the point of like, that you feel like you put more effort into your villain than your protagonist. And it makes me think that because as a reader, I am naturally inclined to go along with the
Mhm.
protagonist.
Mhm.
Right. And so you don't have to persuade me very much about the protagonist. I do want a fully developed
Yeah, yeah.
character, but I'm already on board. On page 1, I'm with your protagonist. They're the hero of the story, so yeah, let's do that.
Mhm.
Whereas with your villain, automatically, I'm not with your villain. And so you're going to have to massage all of that out of your villain to kind of get me to be more invested in your villain, because the more invested in your villain I am, the richer the story
Yeah,
is.
yeah, and this is a note I wrote down for myself here, like, when you're too into your villain and your beta reader stage an intervention because, hello, where's the main character? Yeah,
Yeah, you do have to do some work.
maybe you need to write a
I'm
short
on
yeah,
board, but you need to keep me on board,
maybe you need to
yes.
write a short story where the villain is the main character and, like, get it out of your system
Huh?
because, no, they're
Oh, yeah, didn't George Lucas do that with Darth Vader? Yeah.
hmm,
How'd that work out?
uh,
I think we just lost readers right now.
hmm,
Sorry,
hmm.
not a big prequels fan.
Nor am I. That's
Yeah.
okay. You can say it's because we're old, but it's actually because we're right.
And so it's Kirk, it's interesting you would bring that up because, Darth Vader is a before the prequels, Darth Vader is actually a pretty
He
cardboard
is.
character, right?
He is.
And we love him, but he's just like a bad dude because he's a bad dude, and
Yeah.
that's really all we know. But I think that Darth Vader works again, we're throwing out the prequels, we don't know anything about him. Darth Vader works as a good villain because there's a mystique about
Mhm.
him we don't know about him. It's also a cinematic thing
Yeah,
which is
it's
hard to convey in a book, right?
yeah.
So there's just this mystique that he's got a back history with Obi-Wan Kenobi. We know that. It's all very mysterious, and man, what's behind that
Yeah,
mask and
and
all that.
it's
So I think it works cinematically.
he's the man in black, right?
Right.
So
Right.
it's a mystery. You can project anything onto him. You
Mhm.
could even look at him like the man in black, like, well, what if he's actually the hero of this story?
Yeah. Now, you try to write that, it's gonna be really difficult. And I'm fully aware that there was a Star Wars novelization because I read it when I was about 14 years old or something. I have no idea if it was any good because I tended to read trash books anyway, but
So one of the things that I realized about book 1 going back to read it, that I did accidentally, and I will pretend is craft,
there you
is
go.
that without knowing this major incident that happens halfway through the book, you could look at the villain and think that he was the hero and the main character is just completely fucking wrong.
Ooh, a twist.
Yes.
I love it.
If you didn't know about this one thing, and it's a big thing,
Mhm.
I read it again and I thought, "Okay, let me pretend that I didn't know this thing about the 2 of them." Could I think that he was right in being surprised to understand that he was the villain in the main character's story? And I realized,
Mhm.
yes, yes. So when I got to writing book 2, I thought, "I'm gonna try to do this again." I wanna make it like it's plausible. The thing about the main character in my book is that she makes terrible choices, but she is
Mhm. Mhm.
consistently making choices. Think she is not passive. She is actively leading herself into her own demise. Like this concept of like a really, really, really smart person who has all of the information to hand and makes bad decisions anyway. So if I looked at it from the outside, could I think this is a person, a young woman who is empowered? Yes. Could I also think that the
Mhm.
guy who's helping her, like, ruin her life is helping her, is like a good guy because he's doing what she wants? Yes, I could. I'm really trying to do this because I liked what I accidentally, totally on purpose, did in book one. There's a little subversion here, but at the same time, I have to make sure that I am not writing his story
Sure. Sure.
because, God, I wanna write a story, but I only have 11 books now.
Well, this is why broken protagonists work so well, is because the more broken your antagonist is, the closer they are to being the villain, right?
Mhm,
So, a book that comes immediately to mind when you were describing yours, I immediately thought of The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins. Came out about 10 years
mhm,
ago. The main character is so fundamentally broken. She is an absolute basket case. And we we hit a point in the book where we're like, "Man, like, she's crazy." And you really start to wonder if not so much if she's the villain,
mhm,
but yeah, if she's kind of the baddie. And I won't spoil it, but yeah, the more fundamentally broken your protagonist is, the closer they are to being the villain. And then as a writer, the easier it is for you to kind of do the kind of things that you're talking about
mhm.
is, "Hey, I could actually justify, the bad guy the villain being the hero in their own story."
Yeah, and they're real, it's like the Velveteen Rabbit, right? You want them to be real so bad, they become real.
They are
They are
real.
they are
Yes, the
real,
Velveteen Rabbit is real. Yes.
100%.
I don't know what you're
It's
talking
okay,
about,
we can cut
Megan.
all
I
of this.
the rabbit is real.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Now I'm gonna cry.
Um, yeah, I try not to think about the Velveteen Rabbit. It's like that and Watership Down and Charlotte's Web.
Mm.
I can't
Mhm,
think of any of
mhm.
these, but and if you know what we're talking about, number 1, it might be time to take your Geritol, and number 2,
You know what, though? Everybody should read
oh,
Charlotte's Web.
100%. Yes.
Everybody should read Charlotte.
Yes. Since we're talking about villains and mysteries, let's talk some hot goss.
Let's do it.
Okay. A mystery, a TikTok mystery. I
Mhm,
was
mhm.
alerted to this by our loyal, amazing listener, Laura B. Shout out to you. Kiss, kiss.
Yep, friend of the show, she always brings the
I
good stuff.
know. So, the Manning Literary Agency sounds legit. Question mark, question mark, question mark. Perhaps. Based in London. Actually, theoretically based in Bedford Square in London, where I have not only worked in my life, but also went to school. I did a term abroad in London, back, in the Stone Ages, and
Mhm,
our program was headquartered in Bedford Square. I am intimately familiar with this area.
mhm.
Okay,
So you have all the
I do
answers.
not have any answers. I have a few
Okay.
question marks and
Okay.
surmisings.
Mhm,
Somebody noticed on Threads, I think, originally, that there was this newly noticed, but seemingly having been around for ages, literary agency called Manning Literary Agency. And there was one of actually, I can tell you exactly it was Gina Denny, who is, fucking amazing and has such really good, useful craft videos on YouTube. I'll
mhm.
link to the threads, but also I'll link to her YouTube channel. She's fantastic. Like, does anybody know about this Manning Literary Agency? Apparently, they've got an agent who's on TikTok who is
Yeah.
giving advice or talking about his
There
life.
are many agents, supposed
Mhm.
agents at this supposed agency, one of whom is on TikTok. Yeah.
Yes, one of
Yeah.
him. So, I love a good mystery, and I also don't like it when I can't figure out something that looks like a troll, like smells like a troll, but I can't quite tell. There's something off. The pictures uh, on the website look like they might be AI, but again, not 100% sure. Nobody knows who any of these agents are. There are no authors who are mentioned, no books that are mentioned, nothing. Nobody is taking submissions. Yeah, it's all a huge mystery. There is one agent, as we said, on TikTok, the mysterious Nigel Carlisle,
Mhm, mhm.
who has these little snippets, and he's usually in the same position every time. There's something ever so slightly uncanny valley about it, but
Yes.
it's but it's really hard.
I'm gonna spoil the whole thing. Will eat my hat. I don't have a hat. I will eat it anyway if that is not a deepfake
I
AI.
believe you are correct. I believe you are correct.
It's so uncanny valley. No, that's the thing. It's not so uncanny valley. Is teensy weensy uncanny valley to the point where you're like, nobody stands that still,
Mhm.
right? And he's got, I think he's got what, like 5 videos
He's
up or
got
something
yeah,
like
he's
that.
posted a couple.
Most of them are him with the same lighting, sometimes different
Mhm.
clothes, but kind of the same lighting, the same backdrop.
Slightly different angles sometimes, but not much.
Nothing you can definitively point
Yeah.
to, but
It's
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 just off.
it's that it's there are so many things that are just a little bit off, but it is the amalgamation of them when you take them together as a sum, it isn't
Yeah,
there's just consistently something. It's like like looking at a field of like a football field of leaves of grass, right? Blades of grass,
yeah,
and you see like 1 or 2 yellow ones, right?
yeah.
And it's like, that could be real, but also, is it?
I will tell you my favorite part, though.
Okay, yes.
I love this. So you pointed it out, I believe.
Mhm,
He's got a photo on his desk, and it is of him and one of the other, and again, scare quotes,
mhm.
agents at this literary agents. They are together.
Holding glasses of champagne, I believe. No, or
Something,
is it
right?
power like, granola bars?
I thought it was like
Granola
granola
bars.
bars or
Yeah,
something. I don't know. I can't
I
tell,
like
but
it that it's granola bars.
they are they are together and they look fairly intimate in this photograph. Here's what I love about that. So Kate Finlay is the woman, that's her name on the agency. He is her assistant
Mhm.
in this
But
narrative,
only
okay?
in her bio.
Only in her
His bio
bio
makes no mention
doesn't
of
mention
her.
her.
Unbelievable.
Think him and Kate are
I
banging.
absolutely think so.
That is my theory. These 2 AIs are banging.
I
Yes.
think in our brave new AI world, why couldn't this happen? We should ask Grok.
I love this for Kate and Nigel, but go ahead. Yes.
It's like AIs need love too.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So there's been a lot of questioning, like, what do people why would somebody go through all of this expense, or like time or whatever? So this is my theory. Nigel Carlisle, there is a real person behind it. That is not the person who is in the videos, but there is a real person behind it
Mhm.
who is gearing up to someone who's gathering followers, building it
Mhm.
organically so that he
Mhm.
can eventually sell courses.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is
And you mentioned that this week, and I'm all over that. I'm totally in on that. I think that's what's happening.
Yeah, because there are so many wannabe agents or kind of writing adjacent
Mhm.
people who are like, I can help you. I've got the inside secrets. I can do this. I can do that. We hear about them all the time. So I bet this guy is going to, start selling courses to his followers who believe he is real. I do not believe that any of these people are real. We would be able to find something about
Yeah.
any of
Like,
them.
there's nothing about them at
Nothing.
all.
I will say that when Kirk and I were doing our troll, we did things like
I deny it
he
all, but
denies
go
it
ahead.
all, but let's pretend this is real. We established LinkedIn's for these people.
Mhm. Allegedly, yes,
Allegedly,
yes.
yes.
Mhm.
We
Who I allegedly still get birthday announcements from.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Various I think I had a Pinterest, I really
Yeah.
was like, I am gonna go deep.
I know, these people are such amateurs.
Honestly, we should sell a course.
We should totally make a fake literary agency with, and let me tell you what, if we make the fake literary agents, it's not just gonna be Nigel and Kate. man, there's gonna be all sorts of
Just
drama
wacky.
happening. AI's ju I mean, yeah, it just yeah. If you could walk into this fake literary agency, you would not want to smell what it
No,
smells like.
absolutely not, and there absolutely will be a fake blog, because I can't help
Yes.
myself. It's
Yeah.
always gotta be part of it, and perhaps a signature dish, to create that scent as well. Maybe we talk about how we serve, chicken cacciatore every Tuesday afternoon
Yes,
in the
yes.
break room.
Or how let me pull another name up here,
Yeah,
Tom Reynolds. Do you know what Tom Reynolds is a bastard
I can
because
tell.
he is, I mean, oh, you look at him, he's a bastard.
Seriously.
He microwaves his
Fuck
fish. You
him.
know he does, yeah.
Fuck him.
This asshole,
It's
yeah,
and he it's not just like cod. No, it's something like really oily, right?
yeah,
It's
like carp.
yeah, it's
I don't know. I don't
or
know if
like or something with like sardines and olives in it to like
yeah,
really,
yeah,
release the beast
yeah.
in it's not good. But, look, our talents are wasted again. What are we doing with our lives?
Because Christine Hale, who is the managing director and literary agent
Mhm.
at the Manning Literary Agency, I feel like she is in everybody's business. I feel like she is, like, just the
That
nosiest bitch.
haircut. Her haircut says, "I got dirt on all of you
Yeah.
bastards.
Yeah,
Do not cross me. Do not cross me."
she does. But let me tell you what, if you signed with her, man, she would go to the carpet for
She
you.
has
Like,
dirt.
she will get you that Big 5 deal. Yeah, because she's got dirt on everybody at Penguin Random House.
Absolutely. She probably slept with half of them
Probably
back in
did.
the '80s. Bless her heart. She when you get her at BarCon and she's like 5 G&Ts deep,
She's got, like, a
she's
cigarette
got
in
a
each
cigarette in each hand.
hand.
She's gonna tell you about the time that she passed on signing Jackie Collins.
Yeah, yeah,
But it didn't matter because she and Jackie were still able to go and have lunch together all of the
that's
time.
right,
And
that's
by
right.
lunch, I
She talks
mean,
like, "Let me tell
"Let
you
me tell
about
you
me
about
and
this, G
Jackie."
and Jackie."
Yeah,
I mean, and lunch is a very elastic term here. It was like martinis and Dunhill
uh-huh.
cigarettes in, like, cigarette holders. So, I
So that's the thing, this fake literary agency is in the wrong hands. We could
oh
do
my
so much
god!
with it.
I know! Give it Nigel, let us take it over.
So give it to
We will
us,
make it
Nigel, we will
so
do
much
it.
better than you're doing it. You
Yeah,
think you're being very
yeah.
clever. Frankly,
No, you're not.
you're
You're
not.
not. You
You
suck.
do
You suck.
suck.
Yeah.
And, if you, 3 years down the line from when we're recording this, let's say it's April 2029 and you're listening to this, and you were a victim of Nigel Carlisle, contact us at badlitfriends@gmail.com.
That's right. We'll probably have our fake literary agency set up at that time, and at least you'll get a good
Or
laugh.
our own fake publishing house by that point. So
Right,
it could
right.
happen as well, which is a big topic for another time. So a big takeaway today is we should hug our villains.
That's right.
They're really great. They
That's right.
also might hurt you,
Feed them, care for
so
them.
you should yeah
Yeah.
yeah. So take care of them lest they bite.
Hmm, for sure.
I have been thinking about topics for the next episode, and I thought it might be time for another ranking episode. I'll try not to agree with you so much this time.
Yeah, yeah, I think that was our
Yes,
downfall is
sorry. Although that episode was still pretty good.
I'll tell you what, when you come with I will find a way to disagree with it.
Excellent.
I'll just, yeah.
Excellent. I'll put my
We'll
lawyer
have a
hat on and be,
we'll have a big falling out. It'll be great. It'll
sweet.
be good content.
It's all about the content. We are content creators now. So we're going to talk about we're going to have a duke 'em out about archetypes of which
Nice.
villains are one. But of course there are subsets of villains.
Mhm,
We will use again our usual totally haphazard and made up ranking of
mhm.
S through F. I promise to bring at least one F, or I will try.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Also, I just wanted to mention that I have a $20 off coupon code for the Dabble writing software. If people are interested,
Wow.
I've been using Dabble now for I think
Mhm.
like 3 years plus, maybe going on 4
And I'll
years.
just mention they are not a sponsor. We have no
No
sponsors.
sponsor. This is
Yeah,
just
so
me.
this is yeah, a thing. We make no
I
money
had
off it.
no idea I had this coupon code until I went and found some pieces about doing during my research about writing villains and writing antagonists. I'm gonna put those
Mhm.
in the show notes too, but there was a very good article on the dabblewriter.com website about writing villains, and that's where I saw, "Oh my god, I've got a coupon code." So, if you're interested in taking Dabble for a spin for, for a year, I'm not saying it's cheap. I just like it a lot. I've spoken about it before, or you can ignore it. It's totally up to you. I will not come and track you down like a villain with a large nut. No, 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 no. Up to you. Also, Kirk and I were talking before the show. Our Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts metrics are up, 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 up. Thank you all.
Yeah.
Thank you
Yeah.
again. We have how many listeners now?
We're, like, well over 100 at this
Insane.
point.
Guys, you're
Yeah,
awesome.
it's
Thank you
crazy.
so
It's
much.
crazy. Which I know it sounds small, but, we started this podcast, like, what, a year ago?
August, I think, was our first episode.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
so 8,
not even a
not
year.
even a year yet. So,
Yeah, and we've had that kinda growth, so that's pretty
we're
cool.
we shall remain humble for at least
Mm,
another year.
mhm.
No
Yeah.
promises after that. So,
Yeah, it is truly humbling, so
yes,
thank you.
yes, thank you, and you can find us. We are Badlit Friends everywhere on all the socials, on Threads. We are on Blue Sky. We are on Instagram. We're on YouTube as well. And you can email us, badlitfriends@gmail.com. We have a website, badlitfriends.com. I have
Okay.
a lot of emails that I need to respond to for guests who want to appear on the show. My bad. I have been in
Yeah,
hell.
yeah, no, if
I'm
you've
so
emailed
sorry.
us about that, well, yeah, I mean, we're both
Yeah,
terrible
we're
at
both
email,
terrible at
so
emails.
sorry.
I am trying. We do have some people who are really interesting that we do wanna talk to, and we're hopefully gonna have an interview next month. I just need to reply to the latest email from their publicity person. So, sorry.
Having said that, if you're like the AI lady that emailed
Yeah,
us,
sorry.
we're not
Yeah,
interested, so
thank you. Thank you for listening, but we're not the podcast for you. So,
yeah,
yeah. So, until next time, we will see you then.
bye.